Welcome back to Tell Me More Stories Told Us podcast. We're diving deep into the lives of fascinating people. And today's adventure, we're going to uncover the story of one of Hollywood's most iconic figures, Julia Roberts.
You know, she's been America's sweetheart, a dramatic powerhouse, and of course, a box office queen. But behind that megawatt smile, there's a story full of surprising twists and
Oh, you
turns.
better believe it. We're talking record-breaking salaries, a spiritual journey that led her to Hinduism, and even a fascinating discovery about her family history that kind of rewrites her past. Are you ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's start at the beginning. Julia Fiona Roberts was born in Smyrna, Georgia in 1967. Now, you might picture her dreaming of red carpets and movie premieres, but she actually wanted to be a veterinarian.
A vet. It's pretty far from Hollywood. But even her early life had a touch of destiny, don't you think?
Definitely. There's this incredible connection between Julia Roberts and Martin Luther King Jr. that not many people know about. Her parents, Betty Lou and Walter Roberts, were actors and playwrights who ran a theater school in Decatur, Georgia.
And this wasn't just any theater school.
Not at all. It was the only racially integrated theater troupe in the region at the time. The King children were among their students, and Walter even coached Yolanda King in acting.
Wow, so they were right there in the heart of the civil rights movement.
Exactly. Coretta Scott King was so moved by the Roberts' commitment to integration and aware of their financial struggles that when Julia was born, she paid for the hospital bill. It's a powerful story of community and support during a really turbulent time.
Really makes you think about the ripple effects of kindness. Sadly, though, Julia's childhood wasn't all sunshine and roses. Her parents divorced when she was 5, and her relationship with her stepfather, Michael Moats, was strained.
Yeah, family dynamics can be complex,
Oh.
and those early experiences probably shaped her strength and empathy, qualities that resonate in a lot of her roles. But despite the challenges, she held on to her dreams. After high school, she headed to New York City to pursue acting, following in the footsteps of her older brother, Eric.
And that's where the Julia Roberts story, as we know it, truly begins. She landed a few small roles, but her breakout moment came in 1988 with Mystic Pizza.
Ah, yes.
This charming film about 3 young waitresses working in a Connecticut pizzeria showcased Julia's natural charisma and that infectious laugh that would soon become her trademark. Critics started taking notice.
And then came Steel Magnolias in 1989, a film filled with Southern charm and powerful female characters. Julia played Shelby, a young bride battling diabetes, and her performance was both heartwarming and heartbreaking. This role earned her first Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress and her first Golden Globe win.
Yeah, it was clear that Julia Roberts was a force to be reckoned with. She had a talent for capturing both vulnerability and strength, and audiences were captivated. But it was the following year in 1990 that she became a global superstar.
Pretty Woman took the world by storm.
Oh, Pretty Woman, the Cinderella story for the modern age. She played Vivian Ward, a street-smart escort with art of gold who falls for a wealthy businessman played by Richard Gere. Their chemistry was electric, the soundtrack was unforgettable, and that red dress, well, it became a fashion icon.
Pretty Woman was a global phenomenon, grossing over $463 million worldwide. It solidified Julia's status as a leading lady and made her the queen of romantic comedies. And to think she was only paid $300,000 for that role.
It's amazing how some films become much bigger than anyone could have imagined. And speaking of incredible journeys, if you're enjoying this deep dive, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes of Tell Me More. Now back to Julia's rise to the top.
The 1990s were a whirlwind for her. She starred in a string of hits, from thrillers like Sleeping with the Enemy, where she played a woman escaping an abusive relationship, to legal dramas like Pelican Brief, showcasing her versatility.
She even had a memorable guest appearance on Friends, proving she could handle comedy with just as much finesse as drama.
It's true. She was fearless in her choices, always willing to take on different genres and push her boundaries.
But she never strayed too far from what made her a star. In the late 90s, she returned to her romantic comedy roots with films like My Best Friend's Wedding, Notting Hill, and Runaway Bride. These films cemented her place in the hearts of audiences worldwide, reminding everyone of her infectious charm and relatable characters.
These weren't just fluffy rom-coms, though. They had heart humor and a touch of real-life complexity that resonated with viewers.
And they were box office gold, proving that Julia Roberts was more than just a pretty face. She was a talented actress who could make audiences laugh, cry, and fall in love with her characters. But little did anyone know she was about to rewrite the rules of Hollywood.
Because with Erin Brockovich, she wasn't just going to take on a challenging role. She was going to break records and make history. But that's a story for part 2 of our deep dive.
Oh, the anticipation. We'll be back soon to uncover the next chapter in Julia Roberts' incredible journey. So stay tuned, folks. Welcome back to Tell Me More Stories Told as Podcast. We're unraveling the fascinating story of Julia Roberts.
Yeah, when we left off, Julia was on top of the world, a rom-com queen with a string of hits under her belt.
But she was about to step into a role that would redefine her career and make Hollywood history.
The year 2000 brought us Erin Brockovich, a film based on the true story of a single mother who took on a powerful corporation polluting the water supply of a small town.
This wasn't your typical Julia Roberts movie. Gone were the glamorous outfits and the fairy tale endings. This was gritty, raw, and intensely emotional.
Yeah, and Julia absolutely nailed it. She completely embodied Erin Brockovich's fiery spirit, her determination, and her vulnerability. She wasn't just acting, she was living and breathing this character.
Audiences and critics were blown away. It was a performance that demanded your attention, your respect, and your empathy.
And, it wasn't just a critical triumph. It was a box office smash. Julia became the first woman to command a $20 million salary for a film.
Whoa, that's a game changer.
It was a landmark moment for women in Hollywood. It showed that female-led films could be major moneymakers and that actresses deserved to be compensated on par with their male counterparts. And the accolades didn't stop there. Julia won the Academy Award for Best Actress for her portrayal of Erin Brockovich.
An Oscar. Talk about reaching the pinnacle of your profession.
It was a well-deserved recognition of her talent and her dedication to the craft. It solidified her status as one of the most powerful and sought-after actresses in the industry.
But Erin Brockovich was more than just an award-winning performance, a box office hit. It sparked a national conversation about corporate accountability, environmental justice, and the power of ordinary people to make a difference.
Absolutely. It showed that films could entertain and enlighten, and that Julia Roberts, with her star power and her commitment to storytelling, could be a catalyst for change.
From there, Julie's career choices continued to surprise and delight. She joined the star-studded cast of the Ocean's 11 franchise, bringing her wit and charm to the role of Tess Ocean, Danny Ocean's ex-wife.
Yeah, those heist films were a blast to watch, and Julia held her own among a cast of Hollywood heavyweights like George Clooney and Brad Pitt. It was a reminder that she could handle comedy with just as much finesse as drama.
And then she took on Mona Lisa Smile, a drama set in the 1950s about an art history professor who challenges the traditional roles of women at a prestigious college.
This film tackled important themes of female empowerment and education, and Julia's performance was both nuanced and inspiring. And guess what? She received a record-breaking $25 million for that role.
She was breaking records left and right.
Yeah.
It's like she was on a mission to redefine what it meant to be a successful actress in Hollywood.
And she was doing it on her own terms, choosing roles that spoke to her and pushing boundaries along the way. In 2004, she starred in Closer, a raw and emotionally charged drama that explored the complexities of love, betrayal, and relationships.
This was a far cry from the lighthearted rom-coms that made her famous. It showed a different side of Julia, a rawness and vulnerability that was both captivating and unsettling.
It proved that she wasn't afraid to dive into darker, more challenging material, and that she could handle it with grace and authenticity.
Throughout the 2000s, Julia also lent her distinctive voice to animated films like The Ant Bully and Charlotte's Web, proving that her talent extended beyond live-action roles.
There's something so soothing and familiar about her voice. Even in animated form, you can't help but be drawn to it. And in 2006, she took on a new challenge, making her Broadway debut in 3 Days of Rain.
Broadway. That's a whole different beast than film. It demands a different kind of presence and stamina.
It was a bold move, and while the reviews were mixed, it showed that Julia was always willing to step outside of her comfort zone and explore new creative avenues.
She never wanted to be pigeonholed. She wanted to keep growing as an artist. Later that year, she starred alongside Tom Hanks in the critically acclaimed political thriller Charlie Wilson's War.
This film was a fascinating look at the covert operation to aid Afghan rebels during the Soviet-Afghan War. And Julia delivered another compelling performance, earning a Golden Globe nomination for her role.
It seems like she could do it all. Comedy, drama, thrillers, even voice acting. Was there anything Julia Roberts couldn't do?
Well, she hadn't quite conquered television yet, but that was about to change in the 2010s. But before we get into her transition to the small screen, let's take a quick detour into Julia's personal life. Remember how we mentioned her spiritual journey?
Oh, yes. I'm fascinated by this part of her story. It's not every day that a Hollywood A-lister embraces Hinduism.
It's true. During the filming of Eat, Pray, Love in 2010, Julia was drawn to the teachings of the guru, Neem Karoli Baba. She found a deep connection with the spiritual practices and beliefs of Hinduism, and it became a significant part of her life.
She even gave her children Hindu names, which shows how deeply this spiritual path resonated with her. It's a reminder that even those in the spotlight are searching for meaning and connection beyond the glitz and glamour.
It's a beautiful example of how travel and exposure to different cultures can lead to personal transformation. But back to her career. In the 2010s, Julia became more selective with her film roles, choosing projects that challenged her and allowed her to showcase her range.
She took on lighter roles in films like Valentine's Day and Larry Crown, and then blew everyone away with her performance in August. Osage County, a powerful family drama that earned her a fourth Oscar nomination.
That film was a masterclass in acting with an incredible ensemble cast. Julia held her own against the legendary Meryl Streep, proving that she was one of the finest actresses of her generation.
She was still at the top of her game, but she was ready for a new challenge. And that's when she turned her attention to television.
In 2014, she starred in the HBO film The Normal Heart, a moving and important drama about the early days of the AIDS crisis. It was a powerful performance that earned her an Emmy nomination.
It was a departure from her usual roles, but she tackled it with the same passion and intensity that she brought to every project. And then came Homecoming, a psychological thriller series that premiered on Amazon Prime Video in 2018.
Homecoming was a huge hit for Julia and for Amazon. It was a gripping, suspenseful series, and she was absolutely mesmerizing as a caseworker at a secret government facility. It earned her a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress in a Television Series Drama.
It was official. Julia Roberts had conquered television. She'd proven that she could captivate audiences on any screen, big or small, and she wasn't done yet.
She continued to take on intriguing roles like in the 2022 romantic comedy Ticket to Paradise, which reunited her with George Clooney, and the political thriller series Gaslit, where she portrayed Martha Mitchell, a complex and controversial figure during the Watergate scandal.
She even narrated the audiobook version of Lisa Marie Presley's memoir, showcasing her talent for storytelling beyond acting. It seems like there's no stopping Julia Roberts.
She's a true icon who keeps evolving and surprising us. But there's one last twist in her story that we haven't revealed yet. Remember that fascinating discovery about her family history?
Oh yes, the one from Finding Your Roots? I can't wait to hear about this. This is where things get really interesting, right? Imagine digging into your family history and finding out that your last name isn't what you thought it was.
Well, that's exactly what happened to Julia on the show, Finding Your Roots. You see, she always thought her paternal great-great-grandfather's surname was Roberts, but it turns out it was actually Mitchell.
A mix-up in the family records.
Yeah.
Talk about a plot twist.
Yeah, it was a complete surprise to her, and it makes you think about how much we take our family histories for granted. Sometimes there are whole chapters waiting to be uncovered.
And sometimes those chapters reveal some uncomfortable truths. Julie also learned that some of her ancestors were slave owners, a difficult revelation for anyone to grapple with.
She faced this part of her family's past with honesty and reflection. It's a reminder that even as we celebrate the achievements of individuals, we must also acknowledge the complexities of their histories and the legacy of our nation's past.
It's a testament to Julie's character that she didn't shy away from these difficult conversations. She embraced the good and the bad, recognizing that it's all part of who she is.
This discovery sparked broader conversations about family history, racial identity, and the lasting impact of slavery in America. It's a reminder that the past is never truly past. It shapes who we are today.
Wow, that's powerful. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the life and career of Julia Roberts, what stands out to you the most?
For me, it's her ability to constantly evolve. She's gone from America's sweetheart to an Oscar-winning actress, a television star, and a voice for important causes. She's never allowed herself to be defined by any one role or any one moment in time.
I agree. And through it all, she's maintained a sense of authenticity and humor. She seems like someone you could actually have a conversation with despite her mega stardom.
Yeah, she's relatable even though her life is anything but ordinary. She's faced challenges, made mistakes, and learned from them, and that's something we could all connect with.
Absolutely. So considering her successful transition to television, what kind of roles do you think she should explore next?
Well, she's already proven she can handle just about anything. But I'd love to see her tackle a historical period piece. Imagine her in a Jane Austen adaptation with all the wit and romance of that era.
Oh, I could totally see that. Or maybe a science fiction epic where she gets to command a spaceship and explore new worlds.
The possibilities are endless, and that's what's so exciting about Julia Roberts. She's an artist who's always pushing herself creatively, and I can't wait to see what she does next.
Me too. Well, folks, that concludes our deep dive into the extraordinary life and career of Julia Roberts. We hope you enjoyed the journey as much as we did.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep telling those stories.
And we'll be here to tell you more. Thanks for listening.